Yes,
Got it.
and that's great. And let's move on. We have a pretty good and pretty interesting agenda today. As you already know, we'll be talking about best practices in Jira reporting and how to handle the community management in Confluence. We have three wonderful speakers today. The first presentation would be from Morgan about communicating better inside Jira and Confluence with reporting. The second speech would be from Gabriel about synchronizing Jira and planning boards. And the third one would be about the community management and governance within Confluence. So we have a lot of valuable information today. And as I already mentioned in the emails, and as you may have already understood, we have as this is the last joint event of Spectrum Groupe and OldStreetSolutions, our guests before the Christmas times and this year, they suggested to have, how to say, to give some presents for those people who decided to devote time and joined our event. That's why you may have seen the wheel in the very beginning of the event with all the names of people who have RSVP'd to the event. And for those who haven't, who have joined by the link, please write down your name in the chat and Jamal will add you to the wheel, because everyone who is present today and who has RSVP'd to the event should be on the wheel, and you'll be able to get something from Santa. Okay, so I see a few names in chat already, but anyway, you can see it on the screen. Make sure that your name is there. I hope my name is also there. I also would like to get something from Santa. Okay, so not to take more of your time, let's start. And I will pass my word to our first speaker.
Great, thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for showing up today. I know we've sort of bribed you with Christmas presents, but I'm excited to walk through what I've got today here. I'm going to be talking about sort of best practices for reporting in Jira. In Jira and Confluence, really. Everything I talk about is also relevant for Confluence. I'll highlight a few different places, but basically I'm going to walk through like some best practices, and then I'm going to do what is my favorite part of this presentation, where I just like compare some of the out-of-the-box Jira gadgets to custom charts, and we can just laugh at how terrible the out-of-the-box ones are. So we'll see that too. So I'll give you a few slides, and then mostly we'll be in the tool because I know that's a lot more interesting. So with that in mind, I am going to share my screen, and what you guys should be seeing now are some slides. Cool, so let's jump right in. My name is Morgan Ffolsom. I'm a product manager for custom charts here at OldStreetSolutions. In a former life, I was an Atlassian consultant. So I've been in the ecosystem for a few years, working with the Atlassian tools, and now working specifically with custom charts. Really, this presentation is like, as somebody who has built far too many dashboards in my time, for myself and for others, whether it was when I was a consultant for clients or now with custom charts, I have seen and probably made a lot of just like really bad dashboards. There's like, anybody can make a dashboard in Jira, which means it could be great or it could be not so great. So let's just jump right into what we're going to be talking about today. So I've got some examples here of what I would consider bad dashboards. So like we can see on the screen, sometimes you have dashboards that are just like all text, or the data is bad. Like if we look at this beautiful pie chart here, just like the data is not good, or you don't even know what it's supposed to be telling you. And what we see too is that really the bigger and more complex your Jira instance gets, the worse this gets, right? The more people you have like creating custom fields that have the same name as 4 other custom fields and all of that junk. So because they're super easy to create, anyone can create one, you can really go either way with it. And to be fair, it can be overwhelming when you're trying to like build a report and figure out sorting through all of the gadgets, trying to figure out what each of them do and how you want to visualize the data. And it can just be like kind of a lot, especially if you're not as familiar with Jira or just learning it. Trying to decide like what is issue statistics versus two-dimensional filter statistics, and when would I use one over the other. So there's just like a lot of questions that can come into this process. So my very first best practice tip, trick, whatever you want to call it, this one is like, seems like it doesn't need to be said, but I'm going to say it anyway. So the very first thing that your dashboard should be is informative. So the first thing that I do when I build dashboards is trying to figure out what needs to be communicated here. So a dashboard in a perfect world, or a Confluence page, any sort of report that you're putting together, should clearly communicate a message to whoever that's for. So with that in mind, the very first question I ask is, who is this dashboard even for? Is it for me, just like a personal dashboard? Is it for my executives? Is it for my direct team? Because who's going to be looking at that dashboard is going to depend on what should be on it, right? The execs don't care about the same thing that I care about when I'm trying to do my work. And if I gave them a dashboard that showed that, they wouldn't be jazzed about it, right? They're like, this is not the information that I care about. And then it's just an uphill battle from there. So answering this first question of who is the audience makes really the second question, I think, a lot easier. So what do I want this dashboard to show? What message do I want it to communicate to them? And I try to think bigger about like the Jira, bigger than the Jira data. So instead of like how many issues are in each status, or like how many tickets is each assignee, does each assignee have? I try to go for more like the bigger picture questions, like, is my project on track? If my project's on track, these are the fields that I'll want to see. Or is my project on track and status information is relevant, but starting from the like high level kind of what's the point of this can make it a lot easier to pick out those individual charts and reports. So let's look at some examples.
21, we have 24 promotes.
See, I think we had someone come off mute. There's a little bit of background noise. There we go. Okay. Okay, so here's a sample dashboard. So we've got this one as an example. It's called program status. Let's see what's included. So we've got only my issues by issue type. So that's like pretty straightforward, looks nice, tells me something, tells me what I'm working on. We have a project status looking at, it looks like a RAG field. So red, amber, green. That's cool. Could add a program level. That seems like it's a relevant report. Check on your health there. Then we've got, project issues by status. Cool. That gives us something. And then some average age. So all of these charts, I would say, look good and are helpful. I'm not really sure who cares about all of these pieces of information in one place, right? Like only my issues, that makes a lot of sense for like an individual contributor. Project status, probably more for like a project or program manager. So this like great charts, but it doesn't matter if the individual ones are good if they don't really do anything together as a whole. So that's sort of step one. As far as like building your dashboard. The next best practice tip is to make your dashboards easy to understand. So I'm going to use this as a chance to jump actually into Jira. So this is my favorite part. I love bashing the Jira charts. So I hope you guys have as much fun with this as I do. So let's start here with our project status pie chart. So if I open up to configure this, we've got two fields. So I selected a filter called project status, and I am, the statistic type is this custom field called RAG. So that's what I got. That's what I can customize. I could choose to update it every 15 minutes instead of just when the dashboard's loaded, but those are my options. I think you can probably guess pretty quickly what I'm going to say about this chart. Which is that the amber is red and the red is amber and the green is blue, which cool, I guess. This not really meaningful. It just picked random colors and that's what you got. So this, I would say, as far as making your dashboard easy to understand, if I am a project manager and I'm coming here, this is not a chart that sort of meets those criteria out of the gate, right? So let's see what that looks like in custom charts. So I have just on the right side of the screen a fresh new custom charts gadget that I've added to the dashboard. I'll close this little helper dialog and we'll walk through just a few steps to recreate this chart. So if I start from the same place, I'm going to start with the same saved filter. I could also select projects or write JQL directly into the gadget, but we'll just do saved filters for now. And we'll go project status. Cool. Once I select that, shows me 60 issues. That's what I expect to see. Then it'll automatically open up this chart by dropdown. So this dropdown is going to have all of the fields in my instance. So I can, choose what to chart by. I'm going to select RAG just like that, and we'll see a chart. So first thing, custom charts also just guessed what color we wanted. It's not smart enough to know what that means. But the difference is I can change them. So it guessed better on green. That's just like good odds here instead of blue. So that's great, but I can actually come in here and change the color, and we'll pick that as amber and that as red. And then just so it looks nice and matches the acronym, I will go red, amber, green, so I can easily drag and drop. And now I have the colors actually mean something. To take that a step further, if I am intimately familiar with how project management goes, I probably know right off the top of my head what red means, what amber represents, and what green does. But that's not the case for everybody. If each organization, these things can mean different things. So what you can do is add a description to the chart. So we have this tab right here. So I can say something like, this is going to be really helpful. Red is bad. We'll call it across the board. Green is good. If you couldn't guess that looking at the chart, that's fine, but it's a description, so we can just add a little more. I can, do colors, do all of this it's the same comment editor as you've got in Jira. So I can do that. And now if I wanted to add more detail to make this actually useful, I could, but I won't make you guys watch me write out that this is 5% over budget expenditure. What you guys get the gist of it, right? So now I have a chart that is actually clear what it represents. It looks just so much nicer than this big old thing. And it didn't take any more time to build. So that's my first example. I've got another one here. I think we saw this on one of my slides, this beautiful chart with all of our duplicate statuses. So if you are on cloud and have team managed projects or next gen projects enabled, you have probably seen this. Or if you're not on cloud and you just have kind of messy status data or messy data in any field, you've probably seen something like this where it's this is not at all helpful for me, right? It's to do is blue and green and blue, and then red is in progress and done. So if somebody gives me this report, what I have to do math, it's not going to happen. So asking me to add up the numbers and try to distinguish the colors, it's just not a useful report in this way. And we can see this is just charting by status. I do have this filter that just filters down to the to-do, in progress, and done. So this isn't even talking about any of the other statuses in the instance, right? This is just the basics. And if you were to hand this report, for example, to your boss, that's a little embarrassing. I wouldn't give this report to my boss, right? And be yeah, it's got the status breakdown, but also just add up a few, ignore the colors, pretend that it looks nicer than it does. So let's go do the same thing that we did in custom charts. So I'll select a filter again for our duplicate statuses. Then I will select status. Nice and easy. You will notice pretty immediately that it automatically combines duplicates. So you don't have to do any of the You don't have to deal with whatever this is. But also, so it automatically combines duplicates in fields, which is really nice and clean. But if I wanted to go further, I could manually combine options if I, for whatever reason, wanted to break this down into like done and not done, right? I could come here to this to-do status, hit this plus sign, and I see all of the different status options that are available in my instance. I'm going to select in progress. It's already being used on this chart, and it combines those. So I can now see, and let's rename it. So this, if you had any reason to build a done versus not done chart. So it could look something like this. We'll call it green and red. You can easily combine those options. So even if they aren't like exact duplicate options, but there's like slight different spellings or accents or characters or whatever, you can clean up the data in the charts without having to go through the big effort of like actually cleaning up your Jira data, which is can be a nightmare. So, and I could do the same thing for fixed versions. I won't, but if you've ever tried to, I won't make you guys watch me build the same chart over again. But if you've ever tried to report like in cross-project thing or cross-project releases, if you have a release in multiple projects, the native Jira gadgets has sort of unique values for each project. So even if this 1.0 is something that's being worked on by multiple Jira projects, by like teams, you know, across the board, you can't do anything with this. Custom charts will also combine those, just like we saw with the statuses. So when we're talking making reports easy to understand, really the like, from all of that, the high level message is like, try not to make your audience have to think too hard about it. Like, what do the colors mean? How many are actually in to do? Why is blue green or green blue? So just try to take as much of that like thinking out of it, because I think if we've ever given a report to like an executive or something, they just want it to be like clear, easy. I don't have to think about it. Otherwise they'll just, you know, I don't know, export the data out of Jira and deal with it in Excel, right? Which we want to avoid if at all possible. So the next recommendation, best practice is to make your dashboards easy to maintain. So that can mean a lot of different things. It can mean making sure that you're reporting on data that is not going to change a lot or doesn't require a lot of manual intervention. If we look at this issue statistics, for example, reporting on labels, and I could spend this entire hour just talking about the labels field in Jira and all of the things I feel about it, but I won't today. But the sort of cliff notes is labels are super powerful. It's just like an open text field where you can tag issues in Jira. And so a lot of teams use them for reporting, especially if you like don't have time or to wait on your Jira admin to go build a new custom field for whatever you want to report on. Some people will just use labels. And in that, it's super powerful because anybody can use it without admin intervention. But because it's an open text field, we can see some problems. It's just a label, so it doesn't know if you make a typo. So we've got like our sales label here and then salsa down here, which is presumably supposed to be sales. Same thing here, like some people use dashes instead of underlines. We've got marketing abbreviated versus fully written out. So you guys get the idea. So if I am building this report, building this dashboard, handing it over to somebody, I have to go through and clean up all of this data before I can make it useful. So my general like rule of thumb is with labels is just like, don't use labels for any reports that you have to give to your boss. So it's good for like ad hoc things. Like I'll do it if we have an incident and I want to tag all the tickets from this specific bug or outage or something, can do that. It's good for just sort of off the cuff. But if it's something that would be embarrassing if the data was wrong to show it to somebody, then I tend to say avoid labels. So when we're talking maintenance, that means like the data that you're pulling in as well. But also things like making your charts easy or your reports easy to maintain. means using tools that folks are able to use. So if anybody here is familiar with some of like the big data tools in Jira that are super powerful, like EasyBI or Tableau, all of those are like really cool, intense reporting tools. They can do basically anything that you want them to do. But if you've ever been handed in like an EasyBI report and told like, oh, I just want to make this one tweak, and you aren't like a big data person, it can take hours, days, weeks. I'm not very good at that, at like the MDX. So that's something to say. If you left tomorrow, would people be able to pick up? Or if you went on vacation, let's say that's a little happier. If you went on Christmas vacation and somebody needed to change one of your reports, would they be able to? And then we've got sort of the last bullet point under this is when we're working with dates. So there's a lot of different ways to report on dates in Jira and Confluence. Due dates, created dates, SLA information, all of that. But the general tip is just try not to hard code anything. I will, instead of making you guys watch me build from scratch, I'll pull up a template. So Custom Charts has this templates functionality where you can save your charts and reuse them later, either for you or for other people in your instance. I'll pick, let's see, we'll go created versus resolved this year. And so this is a chart I made previously, and I'm just gonna hit use template, and it's gonna load all of that information, all of the configuration into my chart. So we've got this small, so it seems a little wonky here, but what I've done here is there's not a single hard-coded date in this chart. So it's created start of the year, so it's really this year only. And I've selected it so the range will dynamically update. So if I look at this where it's not teensy tiny, we can see. There we go. So cumulative created versus resolved tickets over this year. You can see I never have to update this. It'll always be up to date. Same with the created versus resolved in Jira. Just like try to avoid hard coding your dates and your life will be a lot easier. Cool. And then my last like very, you'll get a slide for this one instead of watching. There we go. Make your dashboards easy to find. That's my last one. It doesn't matter how good of a dashboard or a report you build if nobody can see it. So with that, give them descriptive names when you're saving the dashboards or Confluence pages in the tool. If it's about a specific project, include that in the name. Users are going to search for dashboards. So try not to do things that are too generic, you know. Something that just is like project updates is not useful if you have 2,000 people at your company looking for a specific thing. It's too vague. Then sharing them when appropriate. So on each dashboard, each Confluence page, you can determine who's able to see it. Sometimes you have things that like dashboards that are relevant to your whole team. However, on the other hand, sometimes it's not appropriate to share that, right? Sometimes if this is just like Morgan's dashboard for upcoming project, nobody else really needs to see that. And if I share that with everybody in the organization, just like my personal task tracking, when they go to search for dashboards, they'll have to sort through kind of the junk. So something to keep in mind. And then the last note here is just link to them wherever your team does their work. So Custom Charts has an app for Jira and an app for Confluence. So if your team works in Confluence and like if you've got one of those groups who just like hates Jira, spends as little time in there as possible, I think we've all met them. Put your reports in Confluence. Don't make them go places that they just won't go. And then add sort of shortcuts wherever you can. You can add shortcuts to Confluence Spaces and Jira projects that just like give you a quick, this is our team dashboard. You can find it directly from there. Cool. So quick, like 30-second review. Your dashboard should be informative, be intentional about what you're pulling into them. They should be easy to understand. So if you can't quickly figure out what a report is telling you, try to simplify it. Try to find a different gadget that'll do what you need. Then don't set yourself up for a lot of work. Make your dashboards easy to maintain. You have better things to do than maintaining a bunch of reports, like a real job, right? And then last, make them easy to find. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is if no one can find it. Cool. So I know I've taken a good chunk of time. Any questions?
So feel free to unmute and ask questions about the presentation. And one comment from my side, Morgan, thanks a lot. That's really impressive, I would say. So thank you. There were some questions in the chat, but I see that they are already answered. So cool. If you have something to ask, feel free. Anyway, you can do it after the meeting in the final end. So if you remember that you missed to ask something, feel free to ask in the end. Any questions from the audience?
May I ask the question?
I've got a quick one. Sorry.
Does your report show data for the specific time and date? I mean, for example, I make report every month, and I want to have it for data actual on the, for example, last day of the month.
Yeah, yep. So you could definitely, I mean, I know I talked about not hard coding dates, but if you do have like a specific range that you want to see, you can totally build that into sort of the source JQL, or you can configure the chart to only show that kind of thing. Absolutely.
No, you just didn't get it. The data in tickets changes over time.
Oh, like historical data?
Yep.
Yep. So custom charts can't do that quite yet. You can, we do have the option to sort of chart by JQL. So you can use things like the was in JQL for historical data. But that's actually a good transition here in that we do have a public roadmap. So this is available, this is in our documentation, and it shows all of the things that we are currently working on and all of the things that are upcoming. So this at the very top of our backlog is a ticket where we're going to add sort of the ability to see that historical data. So you can see, for example, how many issues were in each status last month versus this month. So it's something we'll be adding, I expect, pretty early in the new year.
And Jamal just dropped a link to that roadmap in the chat box so you can follow it.
Cool. Was there another question?
Yes. Hi, it's Matt here. Matt. I have a great presentation, by the way. Thank you. I found that really useful and really informative. So I'm one of those people, you mentioned Excel, and I'm one of those people who used to export their data into Excel and then pivot over the data, because pivot tables are my best friend. Now, I was going to ask you if there's anything specific on your roadmap that relates to, the sorts of features you get with pivot tables. And one of them was actually date grouping. And I just saw that you have date grouping on there. Is that about weeks, months, quarters, those types of things? Because that's something I had to do all the time. And one of the big reasons why I use pivot tables.
Yep. Yeah, so definitely you can sort of manually group things. We did recently add a feature. We can go back here. Recently add a feature that lets you calculate based on multiple things. So I didn't talk about this in the presentation, but if we look at this, for example, all of the reports I showed you counted numbers of issues, but you can also calculate any number field or scripted number field in your instance. So those are all available. And we recently added the ability to do things like add extra columns on certain chart types. So I could come here, and I don't think the data will be very good for this, but I can have how many issues are in each. I could also then show how many story points are in each RAG option. So you can add sort of those extra components, and we are working on the ability, I expect it'll be done early in the year, to also have this show like labels, like what are all the labels that everything in the RAG or in the red category has. So it's constantly growing, but this is a pretty new feature, these extra columns, that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, that is like the columns in the pivot tables as well, where you and can you calculate in those columns or?
Yeah, so
how does that work?
So you can do sums and averages.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, well, I'll hand it off. I don't want to take any more time, but if you have any other questions for me, you can throw them in the chat and we can answer them at the end.
Yeah, thank you, Morgan. Once again, that's an amazing presentation. And feel free to all those who didn't take a chance to ask questions. You can chat with Morgan directly, or you can ask in the very end after all the speakers and before the presents. So, Gabriel, I believe you are the next.
Yes.
Okay, please start.
Hello. Okay. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello there, everyone. Again, my name is Gabriel Welkopolski, as you can see. I'm currently working at a team in OldStreetSolutions that is working hard on delivering a new product to the marketplace, which I will have the joy of presenting you guys today. So the thing is, the product, similarly to all of our products, similarly to what Morgan just showed you, the custom charts, we have the same mission in mind, which is to enable and make collaboration and teamwork in Jira easier for everyone. So the new product that we're introducing is called Agile Planning Boards, and it will allow you for a new way of visualizing and planning in your Jira. So the idea is I will show you a short video that works as a trailer for the product. It's only 2 minutes long. And after that, I will take over and actually show you inside the product for about 10 minutes. And then we are open to questions. And then, of course, we'll move on to the Christmas raffle. So now let me share my screen. Let me share the YouTube board, and I will play the video now.
Launch just now. A new app joining the family of OldStreetSolutions renowned products like custom charts and external share. We are presenting to you Planning Boards for Jira, a free-form board that's synced with your Jira. Planning Boards for Jira gives you complete freedom to collaborate on an infinite canvas. It's the perfect tool for brainstorming, backlog grooming, sprint planning, retrospectives, and all your favorite team activities. We believe in your dreams coming true. Your imagination is the only limit. Draw diagrams, use virtual sticky notes, and add text. It's an infinite canvas where anything can be a Jira thing. And all changes made will automatically update in your Jira via two-way synchronization. Never before has organizing and planning in Jira been this easy. Innovative smart drop zones will allow you to use drag and drop to update Jira fields. It's the most intuitive way to take Jira actions. Planning Boards for Jira changes everything. Wherever you've made your notes, in a pad, on a sticky note, on the whiteboard, take a photo and click Import. State-of-the-art handwriting detection will turn a photo of your handwritten data into an editable replica, and then Jira items. No more tedious post-meeting data entry. Virtual sticky note shapes and text allow you to express anything. Work with existing Jira issues or easily create new ones. Smart zones. Create a zone on your canvas that can update almost any Jira fields. Handwriting detection. Import handwritten sticky notes in bulk in seconds. Your meetings are about to get a lot more interesting. Ready to join in the fun?
So, hello again. Now that the video is done, I will share my screen again and we'll move on to the app itself. I see a couple of questions on the chat. However, Ricard asked us is this coming to movie theaters in 2022? No, it's not, but it is coming to your Jira instances very soon, maybe even this year. the product itself is launched on the marketplace already. Looks very like Miro. We'll get to that in a second. And wow, guys, fantastic. Thank you so much, Anna, for saying that. So let me share the screen again. And now we should be in my Jira instance. So now I opened one of the projects, and this and since I have planning boards installed, it gives it adds this button here that will take me to planning boards. So now for each project in Jira, I can have an unlimited number of planning boards that I can add. So then I can switch between them and use them for different purposes. So let's open one of those that I have already and that I have made before already. Move the window with cameras. So now, again, as the video stated, what the product is, actually, it's a free form canvas where you can basically put anything you want, plan however you want. And the best thing about it, the kind of idea that kind of brings it forward after apps like Miro or Draw.io, which may be kind of similar, this may kind of bring those to mind, is the fact that after we plan and do something in here, we can easily transform it into Jira items and perform actions with it. Let me, of course, show you all of that. So starting from the beginning, how do we actually create something? It's pretty easy. We just have, we have a toolbar here, which allows me to easily create shapes and add text. So let's just add a sticky note here, drag and drop, make it a bit bigger. Let's create a hello world card and make the text just a bit bigger. And just like that, I created a sticky note. So for now, it's just a sticky note. However, with just one button here, I can create an issue with that. So then I can add a description, already put in an assignee, set a priority, basic configuration of an Jira issue. I click create, and just like that, we have created a Jira issue. And now I have its name here. So then I can, just like that, link it, for example, to this Jira issue that I have created before, and just like that, have created something very simple. What we also can do is we can add stuff using automatic capture and handwriting detection, which was tested on the doctor's handwriting. So you can worry not about the fact that it will not recognize your handwriting. Just like that, I can choose one of the images that I have on my screen, which is a Kanban board, and in a couple of seconds, it will pull the picture. It will automatically detect handwriting, and just like that, we added some post-it notes to Jira. So now, of course, it can work with post-it notes. It can also just work with a basic handwriting, so you can put in your notes that you have handwritten before. So apart from that, I can also easily mark stuff from. I can easily query issues that I have in Jira and add all of them to my board like I have done before. And now that I have all of this stuff here, which just a second ago, it was just a list of my issues in Jira and post-it notes that I had somewhere on my handwritten on my wall as a picture. And now I have them in here on this canvas. I can easily mark and drag and drop. I can create diagrams where I can do some basic planning. So I can do kind of a team collaboration. I can perform, for example, agile ceremonies. I can do brainstorming, for example, sharing the screen on a call. And then when I have all of this done, I can use smart drop zones to then easily perform actions on those tickets. Like if I will drag and drop it here to this smart drop zone, and we'll talk about smart drops in just a second, it will, for example, this one will automatically assign a priority. So just because I drag and dropped this card here, it automatically got assigned a high priority. So talking about diagrams some more before we move on to the smart drop zones, I, for example, created a couple of cards here before. So let's just add a step 4 here. Make the font a bit bigger. We can create kind of a diagram like this. And now if I will mark all of those post-it notes, I can easily create tasks for each of those. And you'll see some color coding, which will actually allow me to track those objectives further. So if I will open this task now here, I can, for example, change the status to done. And you'll see that it is resembled here. So I can easily track my objectives as we go. So But again, the most important part about all of this brainstorming and planning that is done inside your Jira is the fact that I can then easily perform actions with it. So if we will move on to my other board, where I have created a couple of those smart drop zones. As you'll see, it is fully configurable. We can basically perform any Jira action with this. So I have here one that will automatically assign a ticket, and it will assign a given priority. I can have another one here that will assign a given number of story points. So that will be good for performing some planning poker. As you can see, we can do row and column management and basically perform any Jira action that is possible. Now, that being said, we are still improving the product. It is still a pretty new thing. We are looking forward to any feedback. And as one last thing that I wanted to add before we finish this presentation is, apart from the rewards that you will have a chance to win in just a second, we will be giving out a free license for this, a free annual license for this product to anyone that joined this call. Now, for GDPR reasons, I don't think we'll be able to do a follow-up ourselves. However, we'll have a message sent from Anna, for example, which will state my email address. So you will have a chance to just reach out to me, drop me an email to get your free license for this product. And apart from the fact that we will give you a free license, we're also offering a free call with our product manager that will help you to kind of configure this, see where the value is. We can talk about your use cases. How could you potentially use it? Maybe there is a feature you have in mind that we could add to it. Looking forward to speaking with you guys about this. So we'll now go through any questions that have been in the chat box. Is this only for cloud? Currently, it is only for cloud. It is on our roadmap to extend to data center. However, it is not planned currently for any specific date. Perhaps it will be next year, perhaps not. We are thinking about it. We are working on data center version. For now, we are focusing on cloud only though. How is this different from Miro board? So the main difference between apps like Draw.io and Miro is the support for easily moving those objects that you have here on your board into actual Jira items to perform actions easily with drag and drop. That is the main difference. And well, the importing of handwriting detection of handwritten notes or sticky notes into Jira, and then pulling your backlog from Jira at the same time to the same canvas in just a couple of seconds. Now imagine how much time would it actually take to do this data entry, to connect your backlog from Jira and your handwritten notes from a meeting, and then plan it on one view. This is the main idea behind it. Can you work collaboratively on those planning boards? When someone makes a change, the others see them straight away. Yes. It is a main feature that we are working on now. It will be released in probably a month or two in the next version. This is the main feature that we want to introduce. We just want to make sure that it works pristinely, that there won't be any issues with this. So yes, most likely it's just a matter of weeks, days now, and collaborating on the board in real time will be possible. Is it free for 30 days? Yes, it is free for 30 days. Like any app on the marketplace, you can start a trial. However, what I've said before, we are giving away a free annual license to anyone that showed on this call. You just need to follow up with me by email, and we'll give you a free license for a whole year. Yes. And apart from just a free apart from just giving a free license, we are also offering a call with our product manager where we can help you where we would gladly talk about your use cases, show you how can you utilize it. If you have any questions or have any other templates, there are some templates for. Let me actually show it to you. Perhaps there are we don't have templates for the whole board. We don't have any. We don't have those yet. However, we have some templates for those smart drop zones that you can utilize. So, for example, for story mapping, for those priority per person. So we can use templates, and then we can easily kind of adjust them to our own use case. So this will be possible. However, we don't have any templates for the whole board yet. we are thinking about introducing those. If you have any ideas, we'll gladly talk about it. How many will be able to collaborate at the same time when this feature is released? Are there any known limitations currently? It will be hard to talk about this now. However, as I said, we are introducing it kind of late because we were working on making it work pristinely. So I assume there shouldn't be any limitations that would be an everyday use case. So I imagine probably at least a couple dozen people will be able to work on it in the same time, and it shouldn't create any issues. So again, we would gladly follow up with you when the feature is released and show it to you how it actually works. Talk about some more. For now, it's kind of hard to say what are known limitations and stuff like that, but it will be released very soon, this feature. I don't think there are any more questions on the chat. Anna.
Yeah, feel free to ask in voice or in chat. Okay, so no other questions at the moment. I think I should thank you, Gabriel. That's, first of all, that's an amazing that you are doing trailers for the new applications. that's really impressive and a very interesting and useful product. Thank you for letting us know. I believe we are among the first to know about it. And as you mentioned about the pre-licenses, I think for those who already know that they're interested, you can drop me a line in person messages to me or to Gabriel with your email address. And for all the rest, I will send the follow-up about the event, and I will mention this opportunity, and you will be able then to send me an email with a request, and I will forward to Gabriel. So all the licenses are approved and all the requests are collected. Okay, thank you once again. And we also have something interesting from Melek to tell us today. So I give you the word, please.
Sure, thank you, Anna. Let me share my screen. And here we go. So hi, everyone. My name is Melek Jebnoun, and I am part of Spectrum Groupe. So this is my first ACE event, so I'm pretty excited about it. And so I started within Spectrum as a developer. Like I work on developing apps within the Spectrum lab, and then I switched to be a consultant, and then I get back to developing because I really like the thing about developing and creating things from scratch. And I have been here like since 9 years, so I like Atlassian and everything turning about Atlassian. So today we'll be talking about the community management and some governance aspects within Confluence. So and as I specified, let me just move this one and hop. Yep, let's go. It's not moving. Okay. And it's moving now. So who we are, actually Spectrum, like we are first, the company has been first built as a solution partner. So the team is based mainly in France, in Tunisia, and we have different offices in the UK, in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, and so on. And we provide services about consulting, about project tooling, digital aspects. So we work mainly with different customers from all around the world about like modelizing their use about digital aspects and how they can work within the PMOs and within the software teams and within the business teams and so on. And beside that fact, so we are solution partner, but we are also marketplace vendors. So since 2014, we have been building this section working on the apps. And this is the team I'm leading actually. So currently we have 14 apps within the marketplace. If you know, maybe the glossary, well, this is one of our seller apps. And the glossary app, so we are the vendor behind it. And we work on apps doing content management, knowledge management, more social aspects like ideation, discussion, more time management and reporting on time management, and aspects like those cases. So different use cases, we work on them. So those are some of our references. So quickly, we work with Sony, Zalando, Audi, Dell. So we have different users and different customers for all around the world. And maybe this is what made the use cases we work on very different, because we try to solve the problem of those customers with our apps. So today, why I have been choosing these topics. So when I have been asked to participate to this event, the theme, I knew that the theme was about reporting. And maybe many persons may think that reporting can be more exclusive to Jira, because normally we work many in Jira and we try to measure what's happening, enhance performance, get measurement about the team and its productivity. And this is what have been happening with our friends from OldStreetSolutions, by the way, very great solution and very great apps. And I thought, why not to check what we can do talking about reporting within Confluence, because many people can associate Confluence as a simple documentation like management tool. And I wanted to check and I wanted to showcase the use cases we have been working with several of our partners and customers on reporting within Confluence and the content that is created within Confluence. And one of the key use cases that we encountered is community management vs the community governance. So for the community management, so as Atlassian partners and vendors, so we have been analyzing practices and working on tools that make community management easier within Confluence. And either with internal or external users community, we found out that the more you put the user within the center, the more you will get interest with him. And providing solutions like our ideation or discussion, like the discussion app that you create a forum within the Confluence, and the ideation gives you the ability like to let people create content within Confluence, like IDs, and get them like following a kind of workflow and a step-by-step like process. The more of like this made Confluence dropping from its like documentation and knowledge aspect or etiquette to be a really true community space and create a kind of community space within it. And by those tools, we could enhance the internal feedback loop, include employees within the continuous product journey improvement, like try to socialize, encourage employees and create. And on the other hand, one also of the main use cases that we have been encountering has been the governance. So we found out that if you don't supervise what's happening in Confluence, it may quickly go out of control. So especially with big like Confluence instances with that contain many users. So enhancing content creation and engaging like in collaboration must be followed a little bit to avoid having thousands of groups, thousands of like very big attachments, slow instances. And both aspects, even they are different, like managing and governance, it must be maybe the thing that associate them together is having a great experience on reporting, or at least have some metrics to follow and check what is happening on a day-to-day basis. So which is like managing your community, and then governing, like the governance aspect where you check if it's good, if the things are going well with the tool and what's happening within it. So let's switch to the demo. I will check. So here, our tool are available. So I will be showcasing the ideation app and the analytic insights app. So both are two different apps working on Confluence, on data center, and on server like platform. So here for the ideation, first, when you start, like basically we ask our customers like to start within the main dashboard that is going to be listing all the spaces containing that ideation aspect. So for my case, I created a Confluence space called Café et Pain Chocolat, and then I choose like to make this space a kind of my community space where the IDs will be set there, the feedback, if they want to discuss, if they want to collaborate, if they want to share content, and so on. And our ideation app is working as an idea blueprint. So if you want to create an idea, you just simply go there and select the idea here. And I'm going like to create the idea to set like, for example, it would be a good idea to host ACU events in Tunisia, for example. Oops. Let's select here. Oops. No. Let's create this event in Tunis. And once you create your idea, so here I'm going to check a date. For example, I'm going to propose, I can add metadata within it. And then if I create the idea, I will land on the idea page to have information here where I will get the statue, I will get the metadata information, I will get some voters aspect, my idea can get voted and so on. And here, what we made, it's a kind of like index page to make, like to collect all those IDs and get them displayed on a nice way, like a kind of timeline with information about it, the ability to create directly IDs from here, get some kind of statistics, if we can say a very simple one, how many ideas created within the space, how many contributors, command, check all the statuses, how many IDs are in the proposed statue, how many are in the evaluated statue, and get who are the top contributors and information. One of the other aspects maybe here, like to enhance that community management thing, like is to create challenges. So we have been working on getting a challenge page where people like will be adding IDs based on a certain topic, and this way IDs will be collected and we can check. Like here, for example, I created a challenge called like to 2022 team building events. So here I want my collaborators and my employees like to provide any idea about a place where we can handle our team building events. So people will be just sending IDs here. And this is the first step we have been working on. Like we have been working several years on just improving the ideation aspect itself. So the challenge, getting the workflow set, getting the information by statuses, etc. But we found out that like the much we have been releasing information, the more our users were requesting for getting more metrics, because they were saying, okay, this enhanced the creation of content within Confluence, which is really good, and it structured the thing, but we want to have something to check, are we really engaging our users? How is it going? How the creation of content is going? People are really adhering to this or not? Do they like the content? What is the content that's like it the more, and etc. So what we did, so we understood that reporting is really important, and also if you don't measure it, like you can't improve it, because many of them told us we want really to have those information in order to be able to check what's happening and how to improve the content, like the content availability and the content, like and to encourage people more like to create that content. So what we have been doing is like adding these analytics like field here, so it's enabled within the dashboard, the big dashboard within ideation. Here you can select the space to start, like to get analytics from. You select the dates from where to when. And when I said send, so here we selected a kind of set of information to be displayed. So this dashboard will be automatically processed, where you will get the number of IDs, the total number of creators, how many like sponsor, like how many of them is sponsored. You can get information about the proposed, how many statue, like how many IDs are in the proposed statue, how many of them are in the evaluated statue. So the more you have statuses, the more you have IDs in, the more it will be displayed here, of course. And then we created a special section for the challenges or the categorization we did, so you can get information about it. And here, I think those are the two charts that people were requesting for. So they wanted to have how many users, like how many users are creating, and to check who is the user who is creating the more IDs and the more content within Confluence. So this has been requested a lot by our users. So in order to check that, me, for example, I created 3 IDs. Here, Amir created only 1 idea, etc. And I get like information by day. Either I can switch either by day, or I can switch by user. And then the second like information that many of our user has been requesting for is how many times the idea remains in a certain statue. So this is our workflow here, or our process for the ideation space that we have created. So our idea goes from proposed to evaluated to achieve to archive. And then like you can get the information that the idea let's go to Istanbul has been remaining in the proposed state since 1 day, or here you can get the details more like with the number of hours and minutes. And this is a key information for many persons to check if they have some ideas that are remaining in a certain state, they are not moving. This way they can push down the user to add information, to add commands, to make more like maybe marketing about the idea within their collaborators in order to get this idea, to get it more feedback, and to have it more moving like forward within the process. And then we created an additional section here to get the top highlights, which are the most voted ideas, the most commented, the most liked, the most viewed about information. So here they are collected by IDs interactions, action on IDs, and then the main actors. And for the yellow section, so we get here what are the IDs that are the most sponsored. This way we are sure that this idea is very good and we can go further with it and like convert it in a project, for example. Or for example, the idea that's most shared. If this page has been shared, it will count the number of shares the idea has been, or the Confluence page has been shared. And then you will get statistics about the people and the persons who are contributing to the ideation process. So here I can get the top contributors and then the most top active sponsors. So the persons who are the most sponsoring IDs. So it's a basic dashboard, honestly. We have been like collecting the most interesting use cases for our customers and trying to go further with first basic statistics, how it's going, like how many IDs you have, how many IDs within statuses you have, and then the tendencies, if I said in English the word, I'm not sure, and les tendances, and then like statistics about this. Honestly, this chart is very, very important for several of our users because they want to track how it's going. Do I need to push further with the people who need to review the idea and so on? And those top statistics, like which are the basics one, how many shares, how many likes, how many views, how many votes, and so on. And of course, you can export those IDs to like the formats you need, either to Excel form or to PDF form. This way you can like use them within slides, or if you have a slide deck, or if you want to share them with your management. So this is the section concerning the ideation itself and the community management. So if you want to enhance the community contribution and the engagement and the feedback loop within that community or that space. But we found out that we have been not talking to the same profiles. So this is more a dashboard that may talk more to managers and people who are working on the community management itself. But however, several of our other like users have been more space administrators and people who want to track what is happening, the content, the type of the content created, the number of attachment, the size, am I exceeding the size or not, etc., etc. And for this, we released it, and this app has been inspired from a real use case of a major, like I can't say the name, but a major defense group within France. And they have a very huge like Confluence instance, and the instance has gone out of track. Like many people have been creating groups, pages, adding number of attachment, and they wanted to have a kind of tool or something like to be able to report on it and to have at least something to follow up for administrators to check the sanity, a kind of sanity check, and check the health of that space. So what we did here, it's called analytic insights. And when it's available only for the space administrators here. And when you open it, you will get two aspects. First, you will get the usage informations and then the governance. So within the usage, you will get information about like either like you can get all display all the information, and we categorize those information with engagement and then participation. So for the engagement, we added categories like new commands, interaction, which is about voting and commenting and liking, and then we added the number of watchers, the number of engaged users, so the users who are adding comment. So this way I can check, I have a community I have a group added with 100 users, and then only 4 of them are are using Confluence. So maybe I have issues with access, with the ability to access and add content within Confluence on that space. And then we have the participation, which is more creating pages, creating new blogs, contributors, and so on. So we give here some activity trends. So here are some graphs about what's happening, how many like interactions. So here, this is related to creation, updates, adding command, adding vote, adding likes, and so on. So different type of activities. And then within the bottom, so here we divided to two aspects where you get the content trends within the participation, so related to creation and update, and then the engagement, so the command and likes numbers. And again, we have our basic like information, which are like the most commented pages, most liked pages, the top contributors, shared page, and engaged users. So you may ask that several of those metrics are like existing also in ideation. So what we currently think of is maybe that this kernel and this information and maybe even the app will be merged totally to our other apps, which are the ideation and the discussion, where you have more like community aspect and more content in order to get like those statistics already made there. And then within the governance, which may speaks more to system admin profiles. So here you will get like details about how many published pages you have, how many command and how many attachments. So honestly, the attachment is a big pain for people managing Confluence, because if you don't track this, if you don't organize this, and if you don't keep an eye on the number of attachments, it will go out of control, especially if you are upgrading and so on. Like this is a metric that has been needed a lot by several of our users. So here we have an indicator to set the size of the current attachment. Are we exceeding 1 gigabyte or not, 1 gigaoctane or not? And this metric can be configured. You can set it to the number you want, so 1 giga, 100 giga, like 100 giga or so on. And then we can get also the information about the last edition. So if the space has not been touched like since 1 year, it's evident that it must be archived or no one is using it and so on. So the information about the last update will get you like since when this space has not, like the latest time the space has been updated. Here you can check information about individual access, users in this space, and groups. So here we get more on user management and user access, because also one of the second pains for people who are managing Confluence is the fact that people or admins are like generally adding people with individual access. They don't go through via the groups, they don't organize the accesses with the groups. So here we indicate how many persons have individual access. If you find out there is a high number, it may be an indicator that you need to create a group to switch, like it will make the management easier. How many groups or users in this space, so how many people can access to this space, and how many groups already existing in this space. Here for the content, so here we add information about the list of the pages, the sizes here. If it contains attachments, for example, it would display the size, the number of attachments, the number of commands, the version, how many versions it contains. It may be interesting to have it in a kind of this like table display, the creation date, the last date edition, and the children if it get information. So those are like statistics like very requested by people. And then a dedicated section for the attachment again. So here you can get several information, the types, the latest version, the total size, the creation, and the last update again. And then you will get the group information. So for example, here, those are the groups that are set in the permission section within that Confluence space. You will get the number of users per group, and then you will get the access type. So if this group, for example, if you found out that there are 5 groups having admin access, there is an alert. So it's not normal to have many groups who are accessing in an admin way. So maybe you can check like what can be done, and administrators can this way control more what's happening and what's not happening. This is a space-based like analytics information. We also created a more holistic like view it's pretty the same. It contains many like information, but here, if you go within the space admin of Confluence, like you will find that there's an option here like related to our app that will give you information about all spaces, so you can track this way what's happening. You can get the number of spaces, the spaces that have been archived in this period, like this selected period, the number of groups, the number of groups with less than 2 users. It doesn't make sense to have many groups within Confluence that contain only 1 user or 2 users. So maybe you need to do the cleaning, the unused groups. So those groups created and not attached to any Confluence space in order to check what cleaning you can make. And then those are information that are related to the app. There's a space information section where you get labels, what is the status of the space, who are the managers, is it a sensitive for the sensitivity, like when you set during the space creation information, is it a sensitive or not app, and so on. And then we created also a group section. This way you can get very, very quick, because in Confluence it doesn't exist. Like here, you have a list of groups, the number of users, and in how many spaces it is used. So honestly, we designed this app to be a kind of toolbox, like for space administrators, in order to govern what's happening within this Confluence instance and get like at least like information and alerts if it's something not working very good, if something not like set very good. And for the ideation aspect, so we preferred keeping a kind of analytics for the community itself and how they are doing, if our users are engaged or not. So that's it. Honestly, I wanted to keep it very light. So those are 2 use cases that we have been encountering pretty much with our customers. So community management and governance. And those are the solution we have been providing within Spectrum Groupe on how like to do this. It's inspired from real use cases, and like it's in a continuous process of improvement, like to have it more rich. So please do not hesitate, like if you have any feedback or any question about those apps. Voila.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. And I would ask if anyone has any questions.
Looks like yes. Alors, let me check.
I think.
Thanks, Theodora. I need to drop. Okay, I have to drop. Coming. I have had to stop. I think.
No, I also don't see questions. Only thanks.